and welcome to the AI PMM webinar series. Today is Friday, March 15th. And today we're talking about growing high-performance product management teams. The AI PMM is the Association of International Product Marketing and Management, available on the web at www.aipmm.com. Follow them on Twitter at AIPMM. The AIPMM was founded in 1998. It is the largest professional organization for product management professions in product marketing, product management, brand management, and even project management of products. Provides professional development and certification credentials, including the Certified Product Manager, Certified Product Marketing Manager, Agile Certified Product Manager, and the Certified Innovation Leader. I am Cindy F. Solomon, delighted to be your moderator today. I am the founder of the Global Product Management Talk, which is a regular broadcast on Mondays with experts in the field of managing products and bringing products to excellence across all the life cycle and all the issues related to product excellence. Join us on Mondays at blogtalkradio.com/PRODMGMTTALK. I'm delighted to introduce Hector, our speaker today, who's an expert in product management training, credentials, certifications, and what it takes to forward your professional growth in the product management profession. Please keep your chat box open and use the questions box. Today we'll be having polls and asking questions for you to answer to interact with Hector during the event. And you can follow Hector on Twitter at Del Castillo, follow AIPMM, follow Product Management Talk, PRODMGMTTALK, and the standard hashtag for product management discussions and issues is #PRODMGMT. So we'd love it if you're tweeting, and that Twitter transcript will be available following the event. So if there will be a drawing at the end of today's presentation to win a 12-month AIPMM premium membership, which is worth $175 and provides you with access to all kinds of resources, templates, downloads, and discounts with partners. So it is very valuable and worth it. So stay on, use the questions box, interact, and we'll have a drawing of the most active participants who have used the question box at the end. So take it away, Hector.
Thank you very much, Cindy. It's a pleasure to be here with everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today to discuss this particular topic, growing high-performing product management teams. And this particular topic, what we'll focus on today, is identifying common challenges and also sharing insights on how to build and manage product managers within an organization. And for the context of this particular discussion, we'll talk about product management as a function. And in reality, as we talk about this, in many organizations, you may actually see that it applies to product marketing as well as to brand managers. And often the role may be implemented perhaps with a slightly different title depending on what the product is, such as category manager or service manager if you are in retail type of industry. And I'm not necessarily going to talk a lot about myself. I just want to point out that we will have the slides available after the presentation for everyone that has participated and also has registered for this particular webcast. My background is I've had over 15 years in leading cross-functional teams to build and market great products. I'm a contributor to the AIPMM body of knowledge, the ProdBook, and I help product-driven companies grow and create new revenue streams. So what we're going to be discussing today is why you need to grow your product management team. And what are the steps to prepare an organization to implement the product management function when you have not implemented that function already? And what is it that you can do to build and grow and manage a team of product managers and empower them so they can become high-performing product managers? And we'll close with some key takeaways, and I would encourage everyone to participate, to stay engaged. We'll have some poll questions. I'll also be asking some questions that I'm going to ask you to submit answers for, because I want everyone to participate and stay engaged and contribute your ideas based on some of the insights that I'm going to be sharing throughout this particular discussion. And during the Q&A, hopefully there'll be a chance for us to then focus on specific questions that you'll be submitting using the question window. So here we go. We're ready to start. So the first thing that I'd like to do is actually have Cindy launch the first poll question, which is displayed here. What is most important to conceive, build, and market successful products? I want your opinion as to what is the most important to conceive, build, and market successful products. And so you should see the question with 5 different answers. First answer is product lifecycle management process. The second one is portfolio analysis and management, or support from company executives, or exceptional product management team, or sufficient funding. Which one, in your opinion, is most important to conceive, build, and market successful products? So we'll give you a few seconds to respond. And once we close the poll, then we'll have a brief discussion regarding what came up as being the most important, the top 3 out of the 5. So once again, if you can respond to the poll question, we'll wait for you to answer. And then Cindy will show the result. So Cindy, are we ready to close the poll?
Yeah, so we have 2/3 of the people have responded, and almost, so 45% say that exceptional product management team is the most important. And that's increasing as we have 80% of the people have voted. The next one is almost 30% say support from company executives. And 15% say product lifecycle management process. Only 9% say sufficient funding, and no one says portfolio analysis and management.
Great. So number 1 is a team first. Number 2 is support from company executives. Number 3 is the process. Is that right?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Thank you. If you can go ahead and close the poll and then go back to the presentation, please. Thank you very much. And I want to thank everyone for participating. And this is, in my opinion, what the answer is. And of course, this is the number 1. It appears that there's consensus from everyone that having a team is the number 1 thing that you can do within an organization to actually be able to conceive, build, and market successful products using a sustainable approach. And so what I see in reality is many companies actually don't understand that it's not the process, it's not the executives, it's actually about building the right team and then empowering that team to really take action on critical product decisions and at least help executives and senior managers in guiding critical product decisions that need to be made throughout a product's lifecycle. So the next theme is why product management matters. Very quickly, product management is about aligning key activities performed by cross-functional teams and ensure that there is alignment with strategic objectives within an organization. Number two, it's about directing or orchestrating those activities and finding out who needs to get involved and collaborate in delivering key deliverables that must be done by the entire team, not a single person, but an entire team. And how do you get multiple cross-functional team leaders to participate and understand what specific sections or what specific portions of those deliverables each one owns and what is everyone's role? Number three, it's about value creation. The product management function guides key decisions to ensure that whatever the organization does maximizes the value that is being delivered, and that value has multiple stakeholders, which includes customers, but there's also other stakeholders that the organization must ensure that value is being delivered, and that the whole point is that you're maximizing that value in order to ensure that you are creating new revenue streams for the company without disrupting already existing ones. So in essence, it's a vital function within any product-driven organization. Just recently, about in August of last year, a recent CBS News report listed product management as the fourth most valuable corporate job, and it's only next to the CEO, the senior executives, or the general manager within an organization. In fourth position, product management is the most valuable corporate job. So we're starting to see a pattern where now some organizations, some companies are starting to recognize the value of the function of product management, which is a change, a shift from the way it was 5 or 10 years ago. And in reality, it takes real expertise to understand how you implement the function in order to align the corporate strategy, the business strategy, the marketing strategy, the company structure, the people, the style, the systems, everything that is about the corporate culture within an organization, and with the value that is being created by the organization. And it's all aligned around market trends and customer needs. So in essence, you want to have a function that allows you to understand not only how to build products, but in reality is what value is that product creating and for whom, and what is that group of customers willing to pay for based on understanding their needs and behavior and trends in the marketplace. And that before you start building a product, you've got to understand trends and needs. And often, the job itself, product management, faces multiple constraints as to the way that they're being told on what to do. There's always a trade-off between how much time they spend on tactical work rather than strategic versus how much focus there is on internal activities versus external activities that are needed to be performed by the organization. And this presents challenges. So let's talk about those common challenges. And before we proceed any further, I would like Cindy to actually launch the second poll question. And the question is, which common challenges do you experience within your company? And then check all that apply. Is it few people within my company understand my role? Do you, as a product manager or marketing manager or brand manager, get drawn into too much tactical work? Are you not getting enough support to implement activities that improve products? Do you lack access to reliable information about customer insights? And who performs or who is actually empowered to make critical product decisions that impact results? So we'll give you a few seconds to check all that apply, and then we'll let Cindy read out the results once everyone has submitted answers.
Okay, we're at 79%, 80% voting. Let's give it another couple of minutes to let everyone get their votes in. But I'll tell you that high up there is that many critical product decisions are made by company executives. That's coming in at number 1. Number 2 is get drawn into too much tactical work. Number 3 is don't get enough support to implement activities that improve. Number 4 is lack access to reliable information. And the last one is few people within my company understand my role. If you hold on, we'll let all the voters come in. I can close the poll and then I can share the results.
That would be great.
Okay. So, closing the poll and sharing the results. Do you see them also, Hector?
Yes, I'm seeing them.
Great.
Great. Okay, well, thank you everyone for participating, and I will have one more question after I cover the common challenges, and I'll talk about where they're coming from. This is not my opinion, but actually is based on a study that was recently published based on market research that was done on experienced product managers, marketing managers, and brand managers from different industries, different companies, and it was actually a study that was published, and the actual work was funded by Microsoft. So number 1, when several hundred product managers were surveyed and interviewed, this is one of the common challenges that showed up. Few people within the company understand what they do and why they're there. Number 3, unclear roles and responsibilities. And really, if you're in this particular situation within your company, it's not really clear the difference between what you do as a product manager versus what a development manager does versus what a project manager does versus what a program manager does. And to an uneducated executive, there's not enough definition in the roles or job descriptions to figure out what is the difference in those roles, and therefore everyone within the organization really is confused about who's doing what to whom and what point and who owns the decision. Number 3, most product managers that were surveyed also stated they usually lack the authority to perform their duties. And that's really the challenges that you face in today's environment, so that if you're working in one company versus another, often even as you are trying to applying and going work for a direct competitor that has a directly competing product, and you would go and successfully start working with the same title, your day-to-day activities will vary significantly between working for one company versus the other company, even though those companies are direct competitors and have directly competing products. So that's a challenge for most product managers that are trying to figure out, how do you move around and how do you succeed as a product manager? And so we're going to be talking about insights and tips on how do you grow high-performing product management teams. And before we proceed any further, I want to actually do the third and final poll question. So Cindy, if you can launch the third question, we'll allow time and then go over those results before we proceed any further. So the question is, who makes most of the critical product decisions within your company? Is it the CEO or general manager? Is it the VP of engineering or the CTO or CIO? Or is it the VP or director of product management? Or is it the VP of sales or marketing, or none of the above? We'll give you a few seconds to answer, and then we'll let Cindy give us the results. How are we doing, Cindy?
Great. So people are loving the music, but we were letting people think. And a couple of people have commented that product management in their organization doesn't have a director or VP level position or champion. We're at 76% have voted. And by far, VP of Director of Product Management is winning. After that is a CEO or general manager, then VP of engineering, and then either VP of sales and marketing or none of the above. And I will, let's see. Okay, I'm going to close the poll and share the results with you. Okay.
Great. So here's the results, everyone. This is based on everybody's participation, so I want to thank everyone for contributing, and then we'll talk more around that. And actually, I'm going to cover 5 different key takeaways between now and the time that we get to Q&A. And I want you to consider certain things within each point that I'm going to be making. And much of this information that I'm going to be sharing is based on the fact that when you're establishing the product management function, you also need to prepare often the organization and everyone who's already within the organization to rearrange how they work so that critical decisions about products are actually owned by the product management function. So there's two things that need to happen. One is you've got to bring in the right talent and implement the role. The second thing is that you have to prepare the rest of the organization in accepting this new role that is about to be implemented. So number one thing is adopt a supportive organizational strategy. What does that mean? Well, it means about that if you have a change management plan, you've got to use that change management plan to implement this new function that has not existed within the organization. And this is not atypical, that many companies may actually exist for some time before they actually decide, hey, we need someone who can help us guide critical product decisions because we're not getting any traction in the marketplace. We're not really achieving what we thought we did, and we've been working very hard, and we have better products than our competitors, and we're getting beaten in the marketplace by less products that are not as good as the ones that we have. You need to figure out how to use change management for everyone that is already there within the company to figure out how to prepare, what they need to do to prepare to bring in a new type of management that has not existed before. Part of this of adopting a supportive organizational strategy also entails not just having the job description, but providing the right type of reward system, the right type of HR that needs to be in place, and the right type of information system that your product managers will need to capture information, data that is needed to help guide critical product decisions. So this has nothing to do with the people. This has to do with the actual structure of the organization and the style and the systems that need to be in place within the company as they start preparing to implement the role or the function of the organization. And it's also about encouraging collaboration. Making products is very hard. Making successful products in the marketplace, the ones that succeed, take collaboration. How do you create a collaborative environment, and how do you remove any barriers to collaboration? That's also something that often needs to be done within organizations that have not had this particular function or role implemented, although they've had products in market for some time. So my question to you, and this is just an informal question, is, do you see any challenges that are about preparing your company, your organization for the role of product management? And you can answer, say, yes, I hear you. Using the question window, submit your answer. If you think you have some issues that are about the organization and about the rest of the organization, really understanding the critical things that are needed to support your function, your role as a product manager. And as you continue to submit those answers, I want to get into the next point. And the next point is, someone needs to set a compelling direction for the product management team. And my question to you is, what do you feel that you have a compelling direction as a product manager as to that will help you or guide you making decisions about the products that you're responsible for? Yes or no? What do you feel, in your opinion, is there a compelling direction about the product strategy that guides you into making the right decisions for the products for which you're responsible for? Just simply yes or no using the question window would be great. So let's talk about some of the things about setting what will help set a compelling direction when there is none, or it's not as clear as it should be, to help you guide product decisions that you're making as a product manager. Well, first thing is the hiring practices. You've got to focus on hiring managers into this role of product management, people that have strong, influential, and collaborative skills. And the reason for that is because product management may have a lot of critical decisions to make, but they're not necessarily going to be owning many of the critical decisions that need to be done, often at the executive level or at the senior manager level. But you want to focus on bringing the right people that have the ability to influence the decision makers and the collaborative skills to bring cross-functional, multidisciplinary teams together and help them stay together and work as a team. Because building successful products requires teamwork. And it's about allowing the team enough flexibility to define their own objectives, especially when it comes to key deliverables that are collective work products, meaning no one person owns everything that is about that key deliverable. Different portions of the team may own different elements of that key deliverable, and you need to have clarity as to who's doing what, how long it's going to take, and why information is critical within that key deliverable. Number three, it's about creating an enabling structure. And the structure, when it comes to a corporate structure, is about making sure that you have the right process in place and the right tools to support the key resources that are assigned to perform the vital function of product management. So let's talk a little bit further about what is an enabling structure. So first off is you've got to have some sort of product management process, what I would refer to as a product lifecycle management process. And the reason for that is because it's critical to understand that one product may be in one phase of the product lifecycle, whereas a different product that you're managing is in a completely different phase. And therefore, the activities, the people involved, and the timeline and the budget all have to be within and aligned with the different phases that each product is in. And in my case, I've been in environments where I've been managing products already in market in the deliver phase and trying to figure out how to continue to improve those products so they remain competitive in the marketplace. Another product may be in development. It's under construction, or it's at the front end where the requirements are being gathered. And there will be some time before that particular product is well defined before it actually begins to get built by a larger team. And yet there will be some products that are also in market that are not really performing that well. So I need to figure out, what do I do with these products, and do I need to consider withdrawing them from the market? And what is the process for doing so? If you don't have a product lifecycle management process, it's really hard to understand the difference between one product versus another product, because it's not necessarily clear to everyone within the organization what are the key activities and why those key activities change, even though the product itself may not necessarily be very different. And often, the process that needs to be in place, really you need to have training for your product team to actually execute on that process. So everybody has to agree what are the key activities that need to be done, who needs to get involved, and which section are they going to own when it comes to collective work products, collective key deliverables. And often you need to allow the team to define individual success criteria versus that of collective work products that are all part of key deliverables. So some are owned by individuals, yet some other aspects are owned by the entire team. And you've got to allow or empower the team to be creative enough to understand what are the roles and responsibilities and which deliverables belong to individuals versus which deliverables belong to the entire team. And allow the team the ability to define success criteria as well. And my question that I would like to ask you to submit an answer for is, do you feel that you have that level of clarity within your company today regarding a process, regarding the different team members and the difference between one role versus another, and which objectives belong to individuals versus which objectives belong to a team that may be part of a larger product team? Number 4, provide expert training, coaching, and mentoring. Product management is not easy. And it's much better that especially when you're starting to implement the function, that you ensure that the people that you're bringing in, whether you are hiring them from within or hiring them from outside, that they are experts in understanding the product lifecycle process and that they can guide other key resources within the organization to ensure success. So providing training, coaching, and mentoring for your team is essential. And part of that is that you want to be able to reinforce, use the coaching and mentoring and the training to reinforce a collaborative culture. Make sure that you have an environment where there is teamwork that allows multiple cross-functional teams to work together. And also be able to figure out what you need to have within the company to establish shared leadership roles. One example at one company that I worked at is that we had a team of about 5 to 7 product managers, and we were all working on a product line that was all related to each other. The way that we would divide this role is that each one owned a different application for this product line that was out of this particular business unit. And the shared leadership was practiced within product management in the way that we would usually schedule quarterly releases in a given 12-month period. And the lead for each release from a product management perspective was always rotated from one person to another throughout the year. So for example, I would have been the lead product manager for release 2.1. Somebody else would be the lead product manager for release 3.0 that was later that same year, and so on and so forth. We were constantly rotating leadership positions as product managers. That's an example of establishing shared leadership roles within an organization. And it's also about empowering the team to work together to make critical product decisions. And the team that I'm referring to is the product management team. Empower the product management team to figure out which critical product decisions are owned by the entire team versus when they need to go to a company executive or a senior manager within the organization. It's very critical to make sure that at least the team understands which decisions they're empowered to make and which decisions they need to escalate up the chain to executives and senior managers within the company. Number 5, specify role clarity and allow task ambiguity. So let's talk a little bit more about what specifically this means. So specifying role clarity is understanding that you've got to clarify the difference between one role versus another. So what is the difference between a product manager and a project manager? What is the difference between those two roles and a program manager? And what is the difference between those two roles and a development manager? It's got to be clear not just to each individual, but the entire organization. So the first thing is assign individual as well as team accountability. So one example is in an organization that did this and was in a highly collaborative environment, the actual structure of the organization was decided that product management was compensated, and it was compensated with a base salary. The bonus itself had 3 different components. One was there was a portion of the bonus that was determined on individual performance of each product manager. There was another component to the bonus that was specifically about the performance of the entire product portfolio for that business unit. And a third component that was about the performance of the company itself in the marketplace. This is an example of assigning individual accountability versus that of the business unit level down to the functional level versus the entire company. In that similar perspective, you can also have clarity around one role versus another versus the team itself, and then allow accountability to be assigned to individuals versus teams down to the functional level. And also encourage open-ended discussion. Not every problem that a customer has is always going to be solved right then and there. You've got to focus that sometimes it will take some time and additional conversations and discussions until truly you understand what the root cause is of that problem before you even propose a solution. And that sometimes problem solving is an active action is required, not just by an individual, but actually the entire team. That there's discussion that needs to happen within a team or teams before you decide what is the best approach in order to solve the real root cause of that issue. And that measuring performance is also done not just at the individual level, but that also there's got to be assessment of the collective work products, those deliverables that must be owned by the entire team or function within a company. And those are the 5 different points. And in summary, these are the points that we discussed that will help grow and manage a high-performing product management team. Number one, adopt a strategy to implement the function. Number two, set a compelling direction as a team. Number three, create an enabling structure, process, and tools in addition to implementing the role or the function of product management. Number four, provide expert coaching and mentoring to your product managers. The senior product managers could be mentoring or coaching the junior product managers, or down all the way to the structure, and that you have a tier structure as you start to build your team, and that you have peer-to-peer as well as people with more experience, people with less experience in the way that you're providing that mentoring, and that you really allow practitioners to bring in and really help your team understand best practices, methodologies, things that will help you figure out what are the right key activities that the organization needs to focus on in order to create a sustainable competitive advantage. Number five, specify or clarify the roles within the company and the difference between one type of management role versus another, and compare that to the product management function or role that you're about to implement, and allow task ambiguity. Let the team decide when that task is an individual, it's going to be owned by an individual, and when that task actually will be done as a team. And allow them to decide upfront what is success. Define what is success and make sure that it's clear to everyone, from executives to senior managers to middle managers to everyone else that is part of a product team, understand the difference between one role and another. And with that, we're ready to entertain any questions that you would have submitted. And as a reminder, you can use the question chat window to submit your questions, and I will let Cindy pick a few, and we'll make sure that we answer everyone's questions either here during this period or offline if needed.
Great. So a couple of basic questions. You use the acronym PLM. What did you mean by that?
Okay, so PLM, I mean the product lifecycle management process. And it's sometimes referred to as product line management process or product lifecycle management process.
Great. And regarding the AI-PMM framework, there are a lot of questions about how people can find out more about that and how to implement it.
Sure. So the body of knowledge that has been defined by AI-PMM, and actually we have certifications around that, you can actually get trained on that through formal training courses that are available. And the training courses are available from our training partners. Here in the US, one of our biggest training partner is the 280 group. So I can give you more information, and I can, if you have questions about specific training courses, make sure that you contact me. And here's my contact information. You can contact me through email or Twitter, or connect with me on LinkedIn, and I can guide you to training courses available from our partners. If you're in other parts of the world, we have partners outside the US as well. And often when there are no partners, AI-PMM directly sometimes will offer training in parts of the world where there is no one else available to provide training. If you're interested in training, contact me, and the training itself will actually guide you to key activities that are part of each phase of the typical product lifecycle.
Great. So, what are the best tools and techniques that you recommend to develop high-level cross-function team collaboration?
So some of the examples would be like if you are, let's say, that are about collaboration would be looking at what are key activities within the organization and which ones are the ones that you just cannot do without, are must-haves, and which ones you could eliminate or reduce given that the marketplace has changed from the way it was, let's say, a year ago or 5 years ago. And it's not necessarily about products. This conversation is about, hey, what are key activities as to how we do things? And it may have to do with the way you're developing something, or it could be about the way that you are manufacturing something, or it could be in your operations. Inbound logistics, supply chain management, how you're identifying suppliers, how you're managing distributors, or how one team interacts or collaborates with a different team within the same company. And then how do you deal with things when you have, let's say, for example, a geographically distributed development team? These are all examples of things that you could have conversations about, that before you begin working on something, have a conversation regarding what is this key activity and what is the difference between individuals and between teams, and down to the functional level. What is one functional team doing versus another? And making sure that conversation occurs with the leaders with each functional leader, and product management needs to be part of that conversation.
How can the team collaboration be quantified, specifically to find the extra room for improvement?
Well, one big thing is, how are you measuring today the performance of a product? Usually there will be some metrics involved. Part of it is that some of these activities that you're talking about is, hey, how do we measure in a way that makes sense for us, for the organization? When is a product performing well in the marketplace and when it's not? And there's got to be multiple ways of measuring those parameters. Everybody has to have a conversation of what is on the list as to how you're going to measure success. And from 0 to 100%, what is 100% versus 50% or less of that across the different criteria that you decide as a team you're going to be measuring the performance of products. It could be about revenue. It could be about market share. It could be about margin or profit, or it could be about understanding what are the fixed and variable costs needed to support that product in the marketplace. Or it could be a combination of all those things.
Regarding the PM team, and who comprises a PM team? Is it more than just the product manager? And how do you call the team? How do you refer to them?
So often, what you refer to the team, it could change. I refer it as a product team. So the product team entails usually the product manager, development manager, project manager, program manager, and leaders, functional leaders. So if you have a software lead, a firmware lead, a hardware lead, or customer support lead. These are all critical functions within any company that would be part of a product team. And you've got to have clarity as to what is a core product team to begin with. But you want to make sure that at least in those conversations, a product manager is involved. And that other the core team itself decides when and who else needs to get involved and at what time once you get beyond the initiation or the planning phase of whatever that team has been tasked to do. So in essence, at the very beginning, you might have, the 5 core functions within the company, and that could be marketing, sales, development, and maybe your technology manager or product manager. These are all different types of roles that may exist in any organization, and you need to figure out, if you have to choose 5 different functions within that are critical to the organization, besides product management, what other functions do you need to get involved? Because that must be your first initial core team. And from there, you can extend your team as you need to. These are all discussions that you need to have that you define itself as an organization. Who is a product team? Who needs to be involved? And when does that team get extended and for what reasons?
Okay, we're coming to the end of the hour. There's a few other questions here, but I would like to do the drawing and recommend...
Before we proceed, Cindy, before we proceed with the drawing, let me just kind of summarize, and then we can do the drawing at the very end. But those of you that attended, I want to thank everyone for participating. Here's additional events that are coming up. We have a couple of webcasts next week. We actually have one midweek mostly for everyone that is in Western Europe and Middle East. And the topic is why get AIPMM certification. The regular webinar series continues next Friday with the Art of War for the Product Manager. You can find more upcoming webinars using this link, AIPMM webinars. You can also attend the next Global Product Management Talk discussion that is going to be next Monday, the 18th, that Cindy will be moderating, and the topic is Increasing Efficiency, 10 Tools in 10 Minutes. More information on the Product Management Talk website, which is linked here, and additional links in here as well. And I also want to mention that if you're interested, there was a question earlier about how do you really get to understand fully the ProdBox, the Product Management and Marketing Body of Knowledge. Training is available and certification prep courses are available in the US. Here is a partial list of courses that are being offered in the next couple of months. These are the courses that are coming up in McLean in the Washington, D.C. area in May. You can follow individual links to get more information about each of these courses. You can register using the link at the very bottom of the slide. And also there's additional locations in the US where these same certification prep courses are available. And besides the instructor-led courses, we also have online courses available. Those links will guide you to specific content depending on what your interests or what your needs are. If you are outside US, here is a list of upcoming courses in other parts of the world. We have coming up next month courses in Athens. In May, we have courses in Amman, Jordan, in Singapore. We just finished a course last week, actually this week in Dubai, and later on, as part of a webinar series, we're going to continue giving you information regarding upcoming courses, not just in the US, but also in other parts of the world. You can follow individual links to get more information about these courses. And finally, if you have any questions regarding membership benefits, certification courses in your area, or need help in implementing some of the practices that I spoke about today, or if you need help in figuring out how do you really build and grow a product management team, feel free to contact me at this email address or connect with me on LinkedIn, and we can set up an appointment so we can talk a little bit further about ways that I could help. And with that, I'd like to just close and let then Cindy take it away with the drawing.
Okay. And the winner is Vera Venkata Atmakar. Vera, congratulations. You have won the AIPMM Premium membership for a year. Congratulations. And we will be in touch with you to award that to you.
And I want to thank everyone for participating and for contributing. And if we did not get to your question, I will respond to all your questions offline. If also, you will receive a link where this entire slide deck is available to you. And if you have any questions or need any more information about this topic, please feel free to contact me directly. And thank you very much for participating.
Thank you, everyone, for excellent questions, participation. Thank you, Hector, for excellent information. And join me on Monday for the Global Product Management Talk, and next week for additional entries in the AIPMM webinar series. The slides will be available later today on the AIPMM website. Have a great week.